The cost of living in the UK is rising and it's changing people's lives.
We either have to eat and be cold or be warm and starve. That's the way it is.
All evidence suggests this is just the start.
The squeeze on household incomes is going to be the big story of 2022, particularly the first half of it, and it is going to be on a scale of the kind that we do see in some recessions.
And this is what's happening already. High inflation. Consumer prices rose 5.4% in the 12 months to December last year. That's the highest rate in nearly 30 years. Energy and food prices are the main drivers of this, but there are other factors too, like tax rises and changes to benefits. All of this is affecting the cost of living, and Prime Minister Boris Johnson acknowledges the situation.
I understand how difficult it is for people. I understand the pressures that people are facing on their on household finances.
To explain that pressure, the UK government is also saying this.
This is a global phenomenon because the causes of inflation, whether it's supply chains or energy prices, are of course global in nature.
Inflation is a global issue right now. We can see that in many Western economies. In the US, consumer price inflation is 7%. In Germany, it's 5.3%. And what is global in nature is personal in its consequences, especially in winter.
The heating is switched off and just put on occasionally when it's particularly cold.
Is that because of the rising prices?
Because of the rising prices.
And those energy prices are rising primarily because the wholesale cost of gas has gone up. That has happened because global gas supplies are down. And there are several reasons for that. First, Europe was unusually cold last winter. That meant a lot of stored gas was used up. Second, replenishing those stores was made harder by low wind speeds. That meant less wind power, and so more gas had to be burned to make electricity. The third reason is there was more demand for gas from Asia, and particularly from China. Prices up for gas, prices are up for petrol and diesel too. Official figures show an increase of over 20% in 12 months. The main reason here, well, that's the increase in the price of crude oil. And that increase is being driven by demand from countries as they open up after COVID restrictions. So that's petrol and gas. The next thing we need to look at is food prices, because they're rising too. And the cook and campaigner Jack Monroe argues the official inflation figure underestimates the impact on the poorest people.
I did a £10 food shop in 2012 for the Sunday people. And I redid exactly the same food shop last weekend and it came to £17.11.
The reasons for the rise in food prices are numerous. Among them are supply chain problems and labour shortages caused by COVID and in part by Brexit. And there are other pressures on the cost of living too. Some people will pay more income tax this year, and there's the removal of the temporary increase of the universal credit benefit. And in addition to all of that, wages aren't keeping up.
It's not so much that pay hasn't grown, it's that the cost of living has increased by more than that. So the amount that you can actually buy with your pay packet is going down.
For all of these reasons, the cost of living is getting harder, and there's more to come. The Resolution Foundation think tank describes 2022 as the year of the squeeze. It goes on. The peak of the squeeze will be in April as families face a £1,200 income hit from soaring energy bills and tax rises. April is crucial. National insurance contributions will rise by 1.25 percentage points. The government says this is to fund social care and the NHS. That rise will mean people earning £20,000 will pay an extra £130 per year. Those earning £50,000, they'll pay £505 more. And if that's tax, then there's energy.
We are going to see an enormous rise in the energy price cap. It's the biggest that there's ever been in the price cap kind of history, and it will amount to something like £60 a month for customers, and that's immediately from April.
The energy price cap is a limit on some domestic gas and electricity tariffs, and that cap is expected to rise by up to 50%. And while there are calls to mitigate this, as the Financial Times notes, decisions are due soon. All potential solutions are difficult and expensive, and here are some of them. The opposition Labour Party wants to do this.
I want to cut that VAT on gas and electricity bills because it will save people £100 a year on their bills.
But as Faisal Islam points out, a cut in VAT saves 5% or £95 off a £1,900 predicted bill. This might prove a helpful addition, Faisal says, but will not fundamentally alter the picture. Another option, supported by some Conservatives, is scrapping the planned rise in national insurance. Here's the former Brexit Minister Lord Frost saying, given the new pressures on energy prices and inflation, it's even more important now to scrap these tax increases and focus on getting the economy growing again. At the moment, though, the government's plan for that tax rise remains in place, and it argues it is offering people help.
The national living wage is going to go up in the spring. That's going to put an extra £1,000 in millions of people's pockets. We also cut the universal credit taper rate. That's cutting taxes for those on the lowest incomes.
But as April approaches, the government is facing pressure to take further decisions. And as it wrestles with what to do about the rising cost of living, so too are many families.
We were hoping that this year was going to be the year when we can, get back out and go on holiday and stuff. And if these price hikes are going to continue, I don't think that's going to be an option, unfortunately.